Yeah, I want to say one last thing.
Sure.
Two things very quickly. I was thinking the other day, I got a letter from Tom Sowell, and he was talking about the need for conservative authors to have websites and stuff. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I got a reply to him. But of all the people I met at the Hoover Institution and at Stanford University, and I met a lot of smart people, there was nobody who had the combination of common sense and intellectual depth that he did, of all of them. I mean, I went to lunch with him twice a month, and I would see people come and sit down, sometimes even former mentors, former students that would come by. And he was just give them master class in refutation. You could refute them. It was really amazing to see how quick he was and how well reasoned he was, how smart. He came up with all sorts of just plain truth, and he had that ability to cut through all of this. He was very widely read, and
you haven't seen him in a while, right? I only ask because I've gotten a few questions.
I haven't seen him personally, but I correspond with him a lot.
Okay.
I think he's 94 now.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that I don't know if he had to be, given the abuse. I know he had natural talent and brains, but it was something. I asked him that once, and every once in a while he would send me a book. Like, give you one example. There was a classic book called The Influences of I think it was called Geographic Environment. And it was by a brilliant woman named Simple, written, I think, in the 40s. But the point was she was trying to explain Greece and Rome and the medieval world in terms of their position to the Mediterranean versus the Atlantic, or mountain versus fertility land. It was really ahead of its time. It was kind of like Brodel, but ahead of him. And I knew it really well only because that was a book I used extensively when I wrote The Other Greeks. And Tom sent it. I got this big, heavy package, and it was a rare copy of it, hard book. And it just said, Victor, you must, I know you've known this book, but you should have it on your shelf. And he's done that with about 4 or 5 books. My point is, there's some great books that we don't read anymore that were classics in the 40s or 50s.
Right.
And he knows them all. That's all he does. He doesn't trust faddish literature. He goes back to the champion. Last thing, that would
make for a great article. Tom Sowell's Forgotten Books reading list.
It would. Yeah.
Why don't you ask him?
Well, he's a very private person. I've been very
yeah.